So in the previous session, we have discussed about the Lightning Web components and how can we build the Lightning Web components and where we can use this Lightning Web component we have discussed in the previous session, and what are the various places in which we can reference the Lightning Web components we have discussed in the previous session. And upon building this Lightning Web component, what kind of development tools that we need to use, what kind of tools has been given by Salesforce we have discussed in the previous session, like the Visual Studio Code Editor and the Salesforce Code Builder. These are the two tools that we have, okay, as part of your Salesforce, okay, in order to build Lightning Web components. VS Code Editor and then Salesforce Code Builder both are exactly same. Both are exactly same, no change at all. The same VS Code Editor has been migrated to cloud. That's it, nothing else. So now this VS Code Editor we have to install because it's a on-premise, and this Code Builder is a on-demand. That means cloud-based. That's it. Internal structure, everything will be exactly similar. No changes at all. But initially, this Code Builder has been given by Salesforce as a free in terms of beta version in App Exchange. As part of App Exchange, they have introduced this Code Builder as an App Exchange product, okay, with a beta version. Now, this Code Builder is not available on free. This is available only for the licensed editions, which can be accessible just with the help of browser and internet access. Okay, now, yesterday I showed you how to install Visual Studio Code Editor. So what is the navigation we used to follow, how to install VS Code Editor, and how to install the Salesforce CLI, how to install VS Code Editor tool, how to integrate this tool with your Salesforce org. All these things I have explained in yesterday's session. Now, today we'll see how can we build Lightning Web components. Today we'll see how can we build this Lightning Web components. We'll see with the practical. Now, whenever we are going to be building this Lightning Web component, upon building this Lightning Web component, we can use a collection of resources. We can use a collection of resources. Now, that already we know a web component is nothing but a collection of web platform APIs. Web component is nothing but a collection of web platform APIs which can be used to build our own custom HTML elements, which can be used to build or to design our own custom HTML elements, which can be referenced in different platforms. Like generally, we are having HTML tags. That HTML is not specifically designed for a specific programming language. It's a common programming language here. So it's a common markup language designed, which can be used in different applications from different technologies in different platforms. So the HTML can be used in Java also, .NET also, SAP also, Oracle also, Python also, Salesforce also, data science also. Everywhere we can use this HTML. Like the similar passion, whatever the way we are using this HTML tags, similar passion we need to design our own custom web components. Okay, we need to design our own custom web components which can be utilizing by the people from different platforms also upon building their applications. So that's what we can say. Web component is nothing but a collection of web platform APIs which can be used to build your own custom HTML elements. Whatever the Lightning component that I have designed, this Lightning web component we can access like as HTML tags. Whatever the way we are using HTML tags, similar passion we can use our Lightning web component also here in from different platforms. So, Lightning Web Component is nothing but a collection of web platform APIs which can be used to design custom HTML elements which can be referenced in different platforms in the application development. Okay. Now, so now here in this case, once a Lightning Web Component has been designed, then we can access this Lightning Web Component from different places in your Salesforce org. We can access this Lightning Web Component from a Lightning application also, Lightning tab also, from a Lightning record page also. We can access from Quick Action also, from other platforms also, from Visual Force also, from communities also, from different places to access this Lightning Web Component. Now, then how can we build this Lightning Web Component? Lightning Web Component body should be built by using HTML elements and other Lightning Web Components. Because yesterday I told you in one Lightning Web Component, we can use another Lightning Web Component also. One will be acting as parent, second will be acting as a child. This is the most important functionality in Lightning Framework. So it's 100% common question in every interview. So now how can you provide the parent-child communication between the two components inside your application? So parent-child communication is very important over here. Now, so now in this case, how to pass the data from parent to child, how to pass the data from child to parent. These two features are very important in the interview point of view in your Lightning framework as well. Okay, now. So now here in this case over here. So as part of this Lightning Web Component, Lightning Web Component body should be built by using HTML elements and other Lightning Web Components. That means inside one Lightning Web Component, we can use HTML tags also. And then we can able to reference some more other Lightning Web Components also. Now, in this case, how can we build our own Lightning Web Component? Whenever we are building this Lightning Web Component, we need to design some user interface, right? Yes. And then behind that screen, we have to write some business logic, right? Yes. Now for this user interface, we need to apply our own styles also, right? Yes. In that case, where we can write. For that one here, in order to design that user interface, to build the business logics also, to apply the styles also, in order to do all these things, Lightning Web Component provides a bundle. It provides a bundle which contains a collection of resources. That means which contains a collection of files which we can use to build our Lightning Web Component. So upon building this Lightning Web Component, we are going to be using a collection of resources. Okay, the combination of those resources will be called as a Lightning Web Component bundle, in which we can able to build our own business logics. We can apply the styles. We can able to use our own custom icons also. We can place our own user interface controls. So that here, as part of this Lightning Web Component, we are having a Lightning Web Component bundle which contains a collection of resources. Then, how many files are available in this Lightning Web Component bundle? As part of this Lightning Web Component bundle, we are having three resources are available, three files. There are three files are available in Lightning Web Component bundle. The first one, template file. First one, template file. Second one, controller file. Controller file. Third one, metadata file. Metadata file. These are the three files are available. As part of this Lightning Web Component bundle, we are having three files are available. Previously, we have discussed ARA application bundle, which is having 7 files over there. Then we have discussed ARA component bundle, which is having 8 files over there. Like as it is having component file, controller file, helper file, and then style file, and then we have design file, SVG file, and we are having renderer file. Like that, here 8 files are available as part of your Lightning component bundle. That means ARA component bundle. So there we are having 8 files are available. But when you observe this, when you observe this Lightning Web Component, we are having only three files. Okay, only three files. Simple. So they have reduced that coding part. They have reduced the complexity in the component bundle. So writing the code, designing the lighting web components are very, very simple, very, very easy. Okay, it's very simple, very easy here. Then how can we build this lighting web components? We'll see with the practical today. Then what exactly is template file, controller file, metadata file, what it contains, everything we'll see one by one. Okay, now make a note of this one. Lighting web component is the new programming model, new programming model, which contains a collection of web platform APIs which can be used to design custom HTML elements to be get referenced in different places in different platforms, to be get referenced in both desktop and mobile platforms. Once a LWC component has been built, reference component from lighting application, comma lighting tab, lighting communities, quick actions, visual force pages, other platforms, etc. Lighting web component contains a collection of resources or files called as web component bundle, which can be used to build the component and business logics. LWC framework provides, lighting web component framework provides the below three resources in the component bundle. First one, a template file. Second one, a controller file. Third one, a metadata file. Template file, controller file, and the metadata file. These are the three files are available inside your Lightning Web Component bundle. Then what exactly is a template file? What is this controller file? What is this metadata file? Let me explain one by one. Now these points. Next. So now let's see the template file first. Template file. What this template file contains? Okay, now let me explain. Basically, this template file contains a collection of HTML elements and other Lightning Web components. For example, I want to design a Lightning Web component here. In order to perform, in order to perform, to calculate the simple interest. So that I'm placing three text boxes here. To enter the principal amount, rate of interest, and then tenure and the interest amount. Along with that, we are placing some button controls here. That means we are designing the component first. So that entire designing file will be available inside this template file. Okay, it is purely concentrating on designing part of the component. Basically, template file will be purely concentrating on design part of that component here, which can be designed by using a collection of visual appearance controls like as text boxes, check boxes, buttons, tables, label controls, card controls, everything we can able to place inside this a template file. Simply, in one word, I can say it's like a purely designing part of your Lightning Web component, which can be used to build the designing part of your component. Then, how can we design? By using some HTML elements and by using Lightning Web components. Because to place this text box, we have Lightning input. That means it's a Lightning component here, web component. We need to place a button control here, Lightning button. That is a Lightning Web component. So these are all are designed by using HTML elements and the other Lightning Web components. So template file contains a collection of HTML elements and the other Lightning Web components which can be used to design the corresponding user interface, okay, as per the application requirement. Based on the application requirement, whatever the design you want to show on the screen, the designing part we can implement through inside this template file. So that it is purely concentrating on design part of the component here. Only the front end part will be available as part of this template file. So now here in this case, as part of this template file, as part of this template file, it is having the extension .html. It is having the extension .html. Template file will be holding the extension .html. It's a .html file. That means designing part file. So whenever we are going to preparing this template file, each and every template file code will start and end with the template tag. We are having template tag. This is the starting of the template tag. Here we can place your text boxes, buttons, check boxes, tables, and everything. You will be having by template. So the template file will be always starts and ends with the template tag here. In this, in between this template tag, we can design your own visual appearance controls, whatever you want. Whatever the visual appearance controls are required to design your component, we can place all the visual appearance controls inside this template tag over here. Okay, understand the concept now? Now, make a note of this one here. Template file. This file contains a collection of HTML elements and other Lightning Web components which can be used to design the required user interfaces as part of the application development. This file is purely concentrating on designing part of the designing part of the web component. We can place the required visual appearance controls inside this file. For example, text boxes, check boxes, labels, buttons, tables, quick list controls, etc. And along with other Lightning Web component. Now, we can reference one Lightning Web component inside another Lightning Web component. Now, each template file code will get start and ends with template tag. As below. The syntax is we can specify template by template. Here we can able to write that. Write the designing part, the component. Note. It will get stored the file. This file will get stored with the extension dot html. Dot html. This is the first file. Controller file. Tomorrow we have the session as usual. Same times. Done with this? Now, the second file here. Second one, controller file. This is the second file. Now tell me this controller file is for what? To implement what? Business logic. What business logic? Client side or server side? Client side. How to implement client side business logic? Through what? By using which programming? Client side business logic should be implemented through which programming language? JavaScript. That's it. So now here in this case, basically this controller file is used to implement the custom business logics. Now that already we know as part of this Lightning web components or any Lightning framework, we don't have any direct interaction between the component and the server side controller. We have a mediator component called as a JavaScript. When you click on the button control, request will be going to that JavaScript code, client side controller. Internally, client side controller will call, server side controller. That means Apex programming. So we don't have direct communication with Apex programming directly here. We have a mediator that is client side controller. So in order to implement your own custom business logics by using JavaScript, we are using the help of controller file. So controller file is used to write JavaScript code. Designing part code we are writing in template file. Business logic part code we are writing in controller file here. Okay. Now, so that here controller file is used to implement the custom client side business logics to be get referenced inside the component to be used to perform the various actions inside your application. So now in this case, this controller file should be implemented. That means this client side controller should be implemented by using JavaScript or any of the JavaScript libraries. We have so many JavaScript frameworks or libraries are available like jQuery, AngularJS, Knockout.js, ExtensionJS, Backbone.js, React.js. These are all are nothing but JavaScript libraries. Based on JavaScript programming only, all these frameworks has been built. So in this case here, you can use any one of this JavaScript library also, in order to implement your own custom business logics. So now here in this case, whatever the business logic we have implemented inside this controller file, this file will be storing inside a file with the extension .js. This file will be having the extension .js. So JS means JavaScript. So controller file will be holding purely JavaScript code. So in this case here you can raise a question. Sir, do we have any possibility to reference some ready-made libraries? Yes. For that one here, inside this controller file, we can reference some custom, we can reference some, standard built-in libraries also, which are purely built upon JavaScript. For that one, we can use the help of import statement. By using this import statement, we can import the built-in HTML modules also. We can built in HTML modules also, we can able to import them. HTML modules are nothing but these are the built-in JavaScript libraries which we can reference inside your Lightning Web component. So instead of writing the business logic by my own every time, we can able to reference this directly. So directly we can call those built-in methods. Okay. Now, so now in this case here, let's see how can we do that. Make a note of this file, controller file. This file contains the custom client side business logics to be get referenced inside the component which can be used to perform the required actions at the browser level. Now, controller should be implemented by using JavaScript programming or any of the JavaScript libraries like jQuery, AngularJS, ExtensionJS, Backbone.js, Knockout.js, React.js, etc. And we can reference the built-in HTML modules inside the component by using import statement. We can reference the built-in HTML modules inside the component by using import statement. This file will store the content in the with the extension .js. This is also called as metadata file or configuration file. Done with this? Next, the third file, metadata file, that is also called as configuration file. Then what this file contains? Basically, this file is used to indicate up to what level this particular component can be accessible. Because we are preparing this component right now, web component. Once the component has been prepared, where this component can be accessible? Will it be accessible in the record page? Will it be accessible in the home page? Will it be accessible in the application? Will it be accessible from the Visual Force page? Where this component can be accessible, that we can restrict with the help of metadata or configuration file. So metadata or configuration file is used to restrict the visibility of the component inside your application. So up to what level the web component can be accessible, that can be decided with the help of metadata or configuration file. So now in this case, this file will be having the content in the form of the extension .xml. It will be having the extension .xml here. It's a XML based file which will be indicating that up to what level this component can be accessible, that will be deciding by the metadata or configuration file. So we have to indicate what are all the places this component can be accessible, that we can indicate. Okay. Now let's see. This file is used to restrict the visibility of the web component inside the application. That is, we can define the level of access of the component. Now, by using this file, we can specify the required places from which the component can get referenced. Like for example, home page, record page, communities, and the quick actions, etc. This file will store the content in the form of .xml format. This file will store the content in the form of .xml format. These are the three files are available. Upon preparing a Lightning Web component, these are the three files will be preparing by the Lightning Web component framework. Done with this? Now, these are the three files will be generating by the Lightning Web Component framework. So upon creating a Lightning Web component, these three files will be generating by the Web Component framework. First one, a template file. Second one, a controller file. Third one, metadata file. So now the template file contains the designing part. Controller file contains client-side business logic part. Metadata file contains the visibility of the component. Okay, what are all the places this component can be accessible that we can specify by using metadata file. The template file will be having the extension .html. Controller file is having the extension what? .js. Metadata file will be having the extension .xml. Okay, XML. Clear? Now, let me show you with a practical. I'm going to the Visual Studio Code editor. I'm going to the Visual Studio Code editor. Let it be loading this, okay? VS Code editor. Directly don't try to use that here. Wait for 2 to 3 minutes here. It will be loading all the supporting components internally by default. Then we can start using this VS Code editor. It is loading each and every feature one by one. Now, so let's go to that. Now here I'm going to be going to the command palette. How to go to the command palette now? What is the shortcut? Control Shift P, right? So now we need to use a shortcut mechanism that is called as Control Shift P. So in order to create a Lightning Web component, we have to use a command sfdx create Lightning Web component command. We have to specify that sfdx create Lightning Web component. sfdx create Lightning Web component. So there is a command called as create Lightning Web component. Now click on this create Lightning Web component. Select the option, enter the component name. With what name you want to create that component here. I'm going to be creating a component with the name because some web component. Okay, I'm indicating WC underscore. That means web component here. Web component, I'm indicating now the custom message component or hello message component. Hello message component. Specify the component name, press enter. Now it will ask you to select the default folder. Inside this folder structure, it is maintaining a default folder called as under the Force app. Inside that main folder, it is having a default folder. In that one, we have one more subfolder called as LWC, where all the Lightning Web components will be getting resides inside that. Press enter here. Okay, select the default folder, press enter. Sorry, same in real time also the same concept here. Now it is preparing a Lightning Web component for you. When you go to the left panel here, go to that application. Now inside that Force app, we have a folder called as LWC. In that LWC folder, it is creating one more subfolder that is with the name your component here. Okay, WC underscore hello message component. Now, in this case, as a best practice, please make sure that your lightning web component name should be always starts with a lowercase. Even though if you're giving the uppercase, it will be converting into lowercase over here. Okay, this is the basic rule. All the lightning web component names will be starting with lowercase letter. In this lowercase letter here, this is the folder it is preparing over here. Whatever the name that you are given for the component, with that name it will create a folder. In that folder, how many files are available? 3 files. There are 3 files are available. There is an HTML file, that is template file. Second one, component file, that is controller file. This is nothing but JavaScript file. Third one, metadata file, that is also like as the configuration file. These are the 3 files will be given by Salesforce. We have component file, so the template file, JavaScript file, and then metadata file here. 3 files will be given by Salesforce. For example, when you go to that, okay, ARA components, how many files will be given by Salesforce? 8 files. In ARA component, 8 files are available, like component file, controller file, helper file, style file, documentation file, renderer file, SVG file, okay, and then we are having that. So one more file will be available, design file, okay, design file. Totally 8 files will be available as part of your ARA component, but that will be looking like as a bit complex. It will be having so many files will be available, which will be increasing the complexity in the component development. That's what here, as part of this lightning web component, they have avoided the such kind of complexity. They have given that okay, only 3 files over here. We have template file, controller file, and the metadata file over here. 3 files are available here. Now, sometimes you can raise a question, sir, I want to use my own custom styles. Do we have any style file over here? No. I want to apply my own style. In the ARA components, we have discussed how to use CSS, how to prepare our own style, how to apply to the components we have discussed. Like the similar passion, I want to prepare my own custom styles over here. Then what we can do? In that case, if you want to provide your own custom style, additionally, we can create that style file manually here. Additionally, we can create that file manually. Then how can we create that file manually here? Now, let me explain. In that case, just you can go to this folder over here. Okay, hello message component. Right click on this, click on new file. Okay, click on new file. Now specify the file name. So please make sure that your component name and the file's name should be always similar. Whatever the name that you're given for the component, with the same name it is preparing all the files over here. See, my component name is a WC underscore hello message component. Now my template file name is what? WC underscore okay hello message component.html. Controller file name is WC underscore hello message component.js. And my metadata file name is WC underscore hello message component.js hyphen meta.xml. So whatever the name that I have given for this particular component, with the same name it is creating all the files. So now create a file for the style. That style file will be having the extension what? .css. You know the concept here. Now, so we can create our own custom file also over here. I'm indicating WC underscore. Now I would like to indicate here. Hello message component.css. We need to prepare this CSS file over here manually, because here when coming to the lightning web component framework, so it is providing the 3 mandatory files here. Okay, style file is optional. If you want to provide your own style, then you can write it. If sometimes I don't want to use that files, I don't want to use that custom styles here, I want to use ready-made styles. From where we can get the ready-made styles? Ready-made styles, icons, everything we can collect from where? Somewhere we have discussed. There is a library given by Salesforce. What is that? Previously we have
Lightning
discussed.
design system. Lightning design system.
So now already we have discussed that lightning design system. Lightning design system is nothing but a library which contains a collection of icons, which contains a collection of the various colors also. It will be having that styles also. It will be having images and pictures. Everything is available. Already we have used those icons in our previous examples as well. So in that case, if you want to use that ready-made styles, then you can directly reference over there. Suppose if the ready-made styles given by lightning design system is not sufficient, if you want to design your own custom styles, then we can prepare the CSS file here manually. Add this custom style file manually. Here there is a condition. Here there is a condition. Salesforce is always enforcing the developers, boss, don't make the component complex. Make it simple, make it lightweight, which will be improving your application performance. If you want to write your own custom styles, then only add this file here. Suppose if you're adding the file, if you did not return any CSS style, then it will show the compilation error. Okay, it will show the compilation error. Minimum 1 style we have to provide, or else your component will not get compiled. Okay, compulsorily we have to write minimum 1 style over there. Now let me show you practically here. Now here I'm giving the component file name WC underscore hello message component.css. Now the file has been prepared. Now I haven't written anything in this file. This file is empty. Let's try to compile this over here. It will show the error message to you. Now see, it is indicating that deploy search to arg has been failed. Why it is indicating here? Now it is clearly indicating this lightning component resource. Okay, hello message component.css for lightning component bundle cannot be empty. Compulsorily we have to write minimum 1 style. If you are not preparing any style, then don't add this component, don't add this file. If you are adding the file, compulsorily you have to write minimum 1 style, or else your lightning component will not get compiled. Okay, understood the concept here? Now, so that's what what they're doing here. If it is really required for you, then only we can add, or else don't add the things here. Don't add the files. Don't make that component complex. Make it simple. Make it lightweight. Okay, understood the concept here? Now, so that here compulsorily we have to provide minimum one style. For example, I'm preparing a style over here. I'm preparing the style like width. I'm indicating 500 pixel solid block. Sorry, border. Now I would like to specify 1 pixel solid block. I'm adding this here. Now let's save this one. Now it has been compiled successfully over here. Now my component has been compiled successfully. No issues over here. Here we can see the result. Suppose if I'm eliminating this one, I'm removing this. When I try to compile right now, it will show the error message here. Component okay deployment will be getting failed. See, deploy source to R will be failed because this file cannot be empty. Okay.
Compile means only control S, right?
Yes. Now, so now here in this case over here, okay, in this case, whenever we are preparing this Lightning Web component, by default, Salesforce is providing okay 3 files to you. First one, a template file. Second one, controller file. Third one, metadata file. And additionally, we can add okay additional files also. That is by using CSS file. Like the similar fashion here. If you want to add your own custom icons, if you want to design your own custom images and the custom icons, then we can add your own SVG file also. SVG file is for what? SVG stands for Scalar Vector Graphics. SVG stands for Scalar Vector Graphics, which is used to design your own custom images, custom icons. Now here also, this is also the same requirement here. Whenever if you want to add your own custom icons, then add that SVG file. Suppose once you are adding SVG file, compulsorily we have to prepare one icon minimum, or else it won't get compiled here. Okay, so that here Salesforce is going to be enforcing to the developer, boss, if you are really required, then only add this file, or else don't add this. Don't make that component complex here. Make it simple, make it lightweight, so that it will be executing with a faster speed. We can improve the application performance. Okay. Understood the concept here? Now, let me compare here. So now when coming to that previously, when you go to the ARA components here, upon creating the component, all the 8 files will be given by Salesforce by default. Now tell me, all the 8 files are we using? No, I'm using only component file to store some message. Remaining 7 files are empty. We are not using that. If you're not using that, then what is the use of this file? Why you are making the things complex? For that reason here, when coming to the Lightning Web Component framework, they have redesigned that architecture over here. That's what we are having only 3 files by default. And additionally, we can add our own custom files like a CSS file also or SVG file also we can add. But upon adding these custom files, minimum one style we have to provide. Minimum one icon we have to design, or else your component will not get compiled. Okay, these are the restrictions are available. So if you're really required, then only add it, or else don't add that here. Okay, clear?
Sir, if you require any helper file also we can add, not required.
Yes, yes. If you require any helper file also, we can able to add that here.
Okay, any file if you require, and we can add it in the component.
Yes, we can add it. Clear? Now make a note of this one.
So what is the use of the
Additional
test
files.
folder I can see?
That is for the testing purpose, unit testing. Internally, it will be using unit testing. Additional files. Now, while building the web component, the developer can add the additional files also to the component based on the need. Now, the first one, we can able to add a style file, which is a .css, which is a .css file. This file is used to design the custom styles based on the need, which can be referenced inside the component. Inside the component. Always the Salesforce recommended to use the built-in styles from Lightning Design System. From the Lightning Design System, SLDS, Salesforce Lightning Design System. Note. While adding the style file, we have to prepare minimum one style inside the file, else the component won't get compiled. Second one, SVG file, which is having the extension .svg. This file can be used to prepare the custom icons and images can be get referenced inside the web component. Here also, we have to prepare minimum one icon inside the file, else the component won't get compiled. The component won't get compiled. Now, as a best practice, it is recommended to use camel case for the component names, for web component names. That is, start the component name with a lowercase letter. In Lightning Web Component, it is purely supporting kebab case format. Now, in Lightning Web Component Framework, it purely supports kebab case format. For example, welcome -to Apex programming. Now, the component names will be available like this: Lightning button, Lightning button group, Lightning button icon, Lightning input, like that here. All the names will be, that means all the characters will be in the lowercase letter, and then each and every word should be separated by using a hyphen. That is a fundamental principle of kebab case format. In Apex class programming itself, I told you, okay, upon writing the business logics in the real time, we are following three notations: camel case, Pascal case, and the kebab case. Okay. Done with these points? Now, so in this case, how can we run this component here? For example, whenever I'm preparing a component here, what kind of files will be getting generated here? Let's see. I'm giving the component a name. For example, hello world component. I'm giving the component a name as hello world component. By default, Salesforce is providing three files over here as part of Lightning Web Component Framework. First one, it is providing a template file, which is having the file name hello world.html. Second one, a controller file, which is having the extension hello world component.js. Third one, metadata file, which will be having hello world component.js-meta.xml. And the additional files In the additional files, we can able to add a style file. That will be hello world component.css and an SVG file. Hello world component.svg. These are the files here. These additional files are optional. These are not mandatory. These are optional. If you really require, then only we can add it, or else don't add this. The first three files are common. Done with this? Now. So now with this one, we can able to prepare our own lighting web components. Once a lighting web component has been prepared, lighting web components are what? These are reusable components. Okay, these are reusable components which can't execute by their own. In order to run this lighting web component, to execute this lighting web component, we need a placeholder that is called as a lighting application. We need to create a lighting application. That means our application. We know how to create our application in the previous sessions we have discussed. During our programming, we have discussed. So create an R application. Inside that application, reference this component over here. Okay, same like as your other components here also same. Because components can't run by their own, these are reusable pieces. So just you can develop once, then only we can able to reference in different places wherever you want. Then how can we reference this component? Let me give you the note point here. Once a web component has been built, then it can't run by its own. Hence, these are the reusable components. Now, we need to reference this component inside an application as below. Syntax is we can specify C colon component name. That's it. For example, we can use R application. Inside the R application, we can call the component. What is the component name over here? Hello world component. That's it. This is how we can able to call this component inside the application. We can access it and we can run this. These are the steps we need to prepare. Prepare the component, access the component inside the application, then only we can be able to run this and we can see the result on the browser. These are the steps we used to follow. Component bundles are very, very important in the entry point of view as well. What exactly the lighting web component bundle, and then what kind of files are available, and then how can we reference this component, because these are very, very important. Now, with this one, we are done with all the fundamental and theoretical part of lighting web components. And how to prepare our own lighting web component with the practical, we'll see from tomorrow onwards. Tomorrow we have the session as usual at same timings. Please be available by 9:15. By 9:15, we'll start the session from tomorrow onwards so that we can spend some more time. I will show you the practical concept from tomorrow onwards, but practice is very, very important. Without the practice, you can't remember all these things. So please make sure that you should be ready with that VS Code installation, and then you should be ready with that integrating VS Code with your Salesforce R. That is mandatory to do this. Okay. Thank you. Hmm. Those are not required. Very simple option. Okay. Thank you all. Thanks for your time.